All right. Good morning, everyone. What a day. What a day. Bonjour à toutes et à tous. My name is Andy Shibata. I'm the Vice President of Brand at Air Canada. I can't tell you how excited I am to welcome you to this incredible event. We're joined by some very special guests from MLSE, Air Canada, and the media. Thank you for coming. Today, we get to celebrate the legend himself, Mr. Vince Carter, who's back with us. And Vince, I can't think of a better homecoming, because it is home. Welcome home. And it's so amazing to have your family here, and your kids are awesome. Listen, when you joined the Raptors in '98, Toronto wasn't exactly known as a basketball city. And Canada certainly wasn't known as a basketball nation, but you changed all of that. You sparked a whole movement. And for those of you who watched your incredible performance at the 2000 All-Star Weekend, it was transcendent. It felt like you put Toronto and the nation on the map. You showed the world that our city, our country, could soar just as high as your incredible dunks. When fans and sports writers started calling you Air Canada, it was a fitting tribute to your high-flying style and your impact on the game. And your legacy has inspired future generations. And here today, we're joined by a couple of young leaders from the Layup Youth Basketball Program, who you'll meet later and get some photo ops. And they've grown up loving basketball in ways that we couldn't have ever dreamed of in this country, and thanks to you. And I'm thrilled that we could honor you with an aircraft decked out to celebrate your impact. It really was the biggest and kind of grandest way that we could figure out to think of how to showcase your legacy on the tail of an Airbus A220. It doesn't get bigger than this. For us, this is a tribute not only to your talent, but to the spirit of flight, resilience, and the passion that you exemplify. And Vince, congratulations on the Hall of Fame. And congratulations on your jersey retirement. It's going to be a great weekend. And as you see on some of the banners written here in the hangar, and you'll see in billboards around the city, some numbers belong in the rafters, others deserve to fly. And now, please join me in welcoming a legend in his own right, Paul Jones, for a special conversation with Vince. Paul, Vince, the floor is yours.
One of these is a pilot seat, so you can take it as you want. Oh, well.
How you doing?
I'm good, man. Good to see you.
I'm good as well.
Who knew all these decades
Who knew?
later that we'd be sitting here and you got a plane? You know, I always said Vince could fly, and now it's...
I could go even further than that. Who knew is fitting, because I remember my freshman year of high school. I'm a Dr. J fan, as everybody knows, and I was a Randall Cunningham fan. So 6 and 12 were two of my favorite numbers. And I wore 34 also for Walter Payton. But I was looking to potentially wear 6 or 12, and they were gone. And one thing my mom did say to me, she's like, hey, pick a number and make it famous.
Yes.
I was like, all right, well, 15 it is. How ironic, my high school coach down there once wore the same number one time. And I remember Brink, you saying to me, like, I wore 15, but nobody knows, because you've done great things, and it's a great appreciation for it, because full circle.
Yes.
You get to look up there and you see it, so it's pretty cool.
What did it... I know you, Vince, and I know how emotional you are.
I know, it's crazy.
It's okay. I am too, and they call me soft.
I'm bothered by this since I've retired.
I can see it in your eyes now.
Man, I don't like this.
You just start appreciating stuff more.
That's what it is.
Older in life.
It is. I have great appreciation.
What did it feel like when you walked in here and you saw this?
I don't know what I appreciated more. I think I'm still hung on the signature being like my real signature, which is pretty good. Well, all right. Also, that actually looks like me. I'll leave that out.
Yeah, in light of what's happened recently, yeah, it does look like you.
No, I don't know what you're talking about. I'll just say that looks like me. It just looks like me.
So, you know, it's been a while since I've been to the barber shop.
Tell me about it.
But as our Black Country Club is known as the barber shop, there's all kinds of discussions in there about who the first jersey is that should go up. To me, there was never a doubt because, as Andy said, you put Toronto on the map. And I always say this, you led the All-Star game in voting. You weren't in New York. You weren't in Los Angeles. This thing called the internet, you couldn't just click away and vote for some guy 20 times in a day. You had to take your backside to an arena, punch a hole in a ticket, and put it in a box. And you led from Toronto. So putting Toronto on the map. And I always thought, yeah, Vince's number should be the first one. And it is, fittingly. What are you most looking forward to this weekend?
Oh, I mean, I want to comment on that because the first time it happened, couldn't believe it. I think All-Star Atlanta was the one that did it for me because I was leading vote getter.
That was 2002.
And Michael Jordan was also there.
Was retiring, yeah.
And he was retiring, and it was his last All-Star game, and I had more votes than that guy. You know, and it was just, it was just amazing to see that I had that many people appreciate me as a player and as a person. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant.
You were too modest. Wait, hold on.
I get it, but that's
you
Michael
were too
Jordan,
modest
man.
to understand.
That's the guy that did this.
That I was around when we had 16 wins. Your mother and I Michelle and I were just talking about that. Michelle said she did the research, said they won 16 games. Whoa, we got some work to do when we go to Toronto. And the fact that we never sniffed national TV. And I walk in one Sunday and it's like, oh, NBC is here. What are y'all doing here? Well, Vince is playing. And the fact that they were changing TV schedules to put you on TV, and you didn't disappoint. What'd you have that night? 51 that afternoon against
Something
Phoenix?
like that. It was like 50, 51, I don't remember. 51.
It was 51.
Yeah, it was 51.
And I remember poor Scott Skiles, they were like, he was in trouble. What are you looking forward to this weekend?
And I had 51 on two guys who ended up being my teammate. I don't want to call out names, but Jason Kidd and Sean Marion were guarding me, and they became teammates of mine in Dallas. So
you reminded them of that.
Did I ever? Did I ever? But I'm just living in the moment.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like the Hall of Fame. I was just there in the moment, like truly thankful for the opportunity. So I just want to let it happen organically.
Make sure you guys have lots of Kleenex for tomorrow night.
I'm getting it all out now. But no, I just want to live in the moment. Like this is the first time, and you've seen numerous jersey retirements. I've never been to one live. Yeah. I've seen banners go up that I wasn't a part of. I got to teams afterwards, but I've never gotten the opportunity and to be the first. It's always, you know, just like anything in life, you remember your first. I remember my first bucket in the Air Canada Center. I'll tell that story real quick.
That was the first bucket of the arena, period.
Yep.
For those of us that remember.
I was well aware of that, and we were running a play, and I was like, just in case somebody breaks the play, I broke the play to score the basket. Just, you know, I did that in 2 arenas, so. But no, it's just you remember your first, and I'm just, you know, I don't want to talk much about it because, you know, what I want to say tomorrow is going to kind of go deeper into how I feel about it, and I'll just say it's not just me going up there. I'll say that.
Yeah. It's never just you. And when you were here, the Embassy of Hope Foundation started to plant roots and impact away from the court. Because I know your mom, I know your family, I know you. It was about more than basketball. So a few weeks ago, we were out at Dixon Park, and we've got some youngsters here. What legacy does Vince Carter want to leave behind for the youth? I mean, you've impacted Canadian basketball in so many ways. I think of the Corey Josephs, the Tristan Thompsons, the first generation that, that Carter effect. But you're not playing anymore, but I'm sure you still want to have an impact.
Legacy, I want to, I mean, so many. I love playing. I loved to bring people together, to enjoy the moment. That I played the game for the front of my jersey. Mm-hmm. And I played until I was 43 years old because I loved playing. And that was strictly it.
Right.
And I was willing to do whatever it took to satisfy that passion. And I want young people to understand is like when you go about your goals, how do you want to accomplish your goals in life? Ask questions, learn about it, read about it, pray about it, and good things can happen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The nickname Air Canada, I never use a nickname for a guy unless he approves. And our colleague, Chuck Swirsky, you did something incredible that I've seen a lot of basketball. It takes a lot to move my backside from my seat. It takes a lot. And you did that regularly. And people would come to the game to watch you do that. And he, Air Canada Carter. And I thought, did anybody ever ask Vince if he's okay with that name?
I never really approved anyone because there was so many of them at the time. It was like Vinsanity,
yeah,
Air Canada. Then half man, half amazing started coming. So I kind of acknowledged them all, really.
Yeah.
And I mean, literally not acknowledge them all because it just depends on where you are in the world. People will call you different things, and I recognized it, and I was okay with it.
Yeah. Yeah. This thing.
Yeah, this thing.
It's going to be airborne. And I know around the city when people people stop and watch planes all the time. I remember playing touch football when the first plane was painted purple and it had the Raptor logo on it.
I thought you were about to say when the first plane took off. I was like, geez,
no.
How old are you?
I'm not that old.
God dang.
But that wasn't the state of North Carolina, though.
I know. I don't know. You might have been there, bro.
But people would stop and say,
Flight Brothers, right? Yeah.
There's the Raptor plane. What do you think people are going to say when they see this? How will it?
Well, that's why I wanted to lay down there and kind of get that view, and I think it's pretty cool. And I wanted the kids to kind of lay down there and see it because it's like you asked me that when I was coming out of high school. Like, yeah, you're gonna have a plane with your name and what is considered a signature dunk and your signature that you really like.
And by the way, that dunk didn't happen until the first time in the dunk contest, right?
Yeah, a version of it. J.R. Ryder had done something like that.
From the corner, but he was on his own.
Right.
Yeah, you had a teammate.
Yeah, and we never practiced it. I wasn't sure how it's going to go. And I always say that I'm very fortunate because I could have been on one of two sides of history. Either this or it's like, you remember when he tried that and he fell or broke his face? I don't know. But I was fearless, a daredevil, not afraid to push the envelope. And that's what I wanted to show in the dunk contest. Like my love for dunking, All-Star Weekend. I used to ask for permission to watch All-Star Weekend, and I would tape every dunk contest. And I would study them, and I would watch them and try to figure out what was their purpose for doing this dunk. And that's where I get weird when it gets to talking about dunking, but I would break it down, and I found myself doing that night. And I think that's why I felt like the dunks that I wanted to do in the dunk contest just wasn't good enough for me. Maybe I still win, maybe not. But in my mind, just like we talked about here, we did the interview, and I'll let you tell the first part, but once I walked in that arena, and I mean, because I was already discombobulated because I didn't get to practice and warm up before because I don't know if you guys heard the story, but my car that was supposed to bring me from San Francisco to Oakland, the driver was nowhere to be found. So by the time I got to the arena, I already missed my warm-up session. And all of the dunkers.
And there was this guy from TSN that needed to have this interview. Dave Haggith, where are you?
He's over there.
Thank you, Dave Haggith. And while the interview was going on, it was like, wrap it up. Vince needs to get out there.
But as I'm walking in, Tracy and I walking in, all the guys are coming from out of the practice gym, warmed up and had their game plan. Here I am. I'm panicking now because this is my first time. This is my dream. Yes, I mean, it's a dream to walk across the stage and to get drafted, but this was my real dream. And I was like, oh shoot, what's happening? And then I just got in the layup line and just started just going through just different ideas and just warming up and
So folks, the story is because of all that, Vince came and we did the interview, and in the interview you can see I actually had hair, and I interviewed Vince, and the door to the arena was, probably like 10 feet to our left.
Yeah.
And Vince was very stoic, and we did the interview, and cut, the camera went off, and I looked at Vince, I said, "This is you. Vince, you're gonna mash this." And I guess because he hadn't warmed up, and he just kind of said, "Jonesy, there's a lot of good dunkers, man. Jerry Stackhouse, Steve Friend, I don't know." I'm like, what is he talking about? He walked past me. I watched the door to the arena in Oakland. That's what it was called, not Oracle, the arena. The door opened, right. Vince walked out, and if any of you have ever seen the movie The 10 Commandments, when Charlton Heston's face changes when he sees the light, that was Vince. He walked out, and it was a new guy. Like the light hit him, and you said all the people in the arena just...
Yeah, just seeing like KG and Antoine, my college teammate, and J Kidd and Shaq, and just seeing everybody so geeked and excited, and obviously the energy in the building was unreal. Like, when my kid here gets overstimulated, he's up here. I know where he gets it from because that night, like overstimulation, I was just like, I felt like I could jump over a goal, and that's just gave me the confidence to go out there and put on a show. But while feeling that, I felt like this routine's not good enough. It's not going to get it done, and that's just me being me, putting that pressure on myself. And I said, well, what am I going to do? So I'm going through the layup line, trying to figure out what the heck I'm going to do. And it's just like, just this. And so the first dunk of the dunk contest, the reverse
360.
In practice, I could barely make that dunk. Like I was turning just like barely. I was making it.
That ball hit the ground before you did.
And then I jumped again, and that's what kind of I powered up. And at that time, I was like, oh hell, y'all in trouble. Like I done made something up. Something's working here. So I'll just skip forward to the it's over thing. The reason I did that, it wasn't planned. It happened organically. But in my mind, I was navigating myself through what dunk I was going to do next. And I'm making them, and I'm pulling this off. So now I'm like, oh man, it's over. It's over because I'm making up stuff here and it's working. Y'all in trouble. So that's what it happened. And I asked, and for the first time, All-Star Indiana, I got the chance to sit with Kenny Smith, and we're actually talking about that. And he asked me, "Did you hear me say it's over?" And I said no, because if you actually go back and look at it, he's saying it while I'm doing it.
It's over.
At the same time, but I never heard him. He was just saying that, and I just said it's over, but I never, obviously at the time, I'm in my own world. He was just saying it, but I was like, no, I didn't hear you at all.
Well, I was sitting beside the late Paul Silas, who was the coach in Charlotte.
That's my guy.
And former Blue Jay world champion Dave Winfield. And I watched their backsides move in the seat. Paul Silas had been around basketball since the mid-'60s. And when you got him to move, and I saw Isaiah Thomas jump over the table with his arms up, I'm like, this is done.
I wish I could tell you what T-Mac said to me when I sat down. Because, all right, I'll just say this. He did not want to do the dunk contest. And he's like, why am I doing it? And why am I doing it? Because I'm going to be in second, playing for dunking for second, blah, blah, blah. Kobe Bryant was asked, and Kobe wouldn't do it. And that's why I had that appreciation for those guys, because I looked at them, and I knew I wanted T-Mac in there, and I wanted the best of the best, because I knew they would push me.
Yeah.
And they would bring the best out of me. So that's the respect I had for them. And watching, I remember sitting down after the arm in the rim, and I laid there, and he looked at me, and he said, "Cuz," can't say it, but what are you thinking? You're crazy. And I was just like, what I do? Like, I didn't imagine.
I'll tell you what, the head coach of the Raptors at the time said to me, I'm watching my franchise player with his swinging from his elbow. And people didn't realize what it takes to be up that high and basically putting something in the garbage.
I didn't either, Paul. You don't understand. I didn't know. I'd never done it before.
I'm like,
I didn't know. But so
Vince is swinging from the rim on his elbow.
Here's the craziest thing. So I'm walking around trying to figure this out, and I had this revelation, like, hey, I'm going to try this dunk, because at Gary Payton's charity basketball game, I'm jumping over the rim and just dropping it in. So I go up to Catino Mobley, he was there. I said, hey, you remember I was doing that in the layup? He's like, yeah. I said, well, I'm just going to try to put my arm in there. He was like, what? I said, yeah, I know. I don't know. So if you go back and watch it, I'm walking around aimlessly, but I'm really trying to figure out, because I've never done it before. So I'm like, well, do I come from the left side to the right or right side to the left? So I walk it off, and I'm listening. I hear Butch Carter in my mind, in my head saying, all right, kid, go out there, show them who you are, but don't break your damn arm. And he just randomly said that. I was like, ooh, well, we're going to try this. And so I walk up there, and I remember rubbing my arm. And the last time I walk up to the rim, I pray, I said, dear Lord, let this work out. And I walk back, and I rub my arm one more time, and
it worked.
I go for it.
It worked.
And if you go back, so my mind is wired weird when it comes to, like, what am I trying to accomplish? Because, you know, I know people don't look at it like this, because you just look at, oh, the dunk in his arm, but I wanted to show height up in the air, and obviously being able to get high enough to even attempt that, because that's what I was worried about, getting high enough, being sweaty, could slip off, all of these things that can go bad. Not what can go right. I was thinking about what can go wrong. But usually when I think of what can go wrong, it's going to go right, because I don't want it to go wrong. And I remember holding on, because I wanted the crowd to be like this. Because you've never seen it, and you're like, what the heck did I just see? Yep. He's actually holding on, and I'm holding on for dear life. And I remember hopping off and just walking around, and that's when Isaiah comes and damn near break my hand off. But I will tell this story. I was fine that night. The next morning, my arm looked like my signature, and the outline of the 15, it was black, blue, and purple. From on this part and this part, and I could not bend my arm. Mind you, it's Sunday. You know what Sunday is? It's the basketball game.
It's the game.
It's the biggest game.
Yeah.
I'm the leading vote getter to play. And so I could not bend my arm, and I iced all day, and I went to the shoot around and finally got blood circulation, and I played in the game like nothing happened. But that's what comes with doing something crazy and being able to pull it off, but it was all worth it. It's all worth it.
That All-Star game was after a lockout. And it was the revival of the dunk contest. And Vince, you captured that weekend.
If you look at the picture, I think my eyes are closed right there. But like, I literally was holding on for dear life. And here's the crazy thing. I think it's my left hand. Yes, it's my left hand. So the week and a half before, I don't know if you guys knew this, in the weight room after practice, stupid Vince drops a weight on the bench, split my finger in half. Fat pad comes out. They had to rush me to the hospital, and I had to get surgery. So my left hand, which is not in the picture, is wrapped up. Like a big bandage, because that's the only way I could play, but I didn't have feel in my finger. So the entire night I'm worried about between the legs. I got to take the left hand to the right hand. Can I do it? You know, worried about getting my hand caught in my shorts, like the whole thing. It's just it was an emotional roller coaster that worked out. But I want to tell that because
it's epic, Vince.
I did it to myself.
I know we're coming towards the end of time, and let me put it this way: there's been a lot of water under the bridge with fans in Toronto, on both sides. on both sides. I think it's fitting that your number is the first one. And I say this sometimes. I know we had stable ownership, things were good. But when I look at Seattle moving to Oklahoma City, Charlotte moving to New Orleans, Vancouver moving to Memphis, I was worried that at some point we might be the St. Louis or Kansas City Raptors. And you helped dissuade and deny all of that. But there were some fans on the way out that weren't happy. There was a time when some people didn't want to welcome you back. Mm-hmm. I think that's all past now. Everybody is universal in the majority, I would say, are universal in their love for what you did. What do you hope the fans take from tomorrow night?
It's their night also. Plain and simple.
Well, it's their night and Toronto's night because of a lot of what you did when you were here.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you. Andy, we're all done. I mean, I could stay an hour up here, but
I think we could stay for another couple hours.
We could.
I got stories for you.
It'll be in the book, right? Yes. It'll be in the book.
These stories are awesome. Thank you. Well, thank you, Paul. Thank you, Vince. That was incredible. The stories were awesome. And Paul, you're right. This plane's got to get back in the air at 2 p.m. I think it's flying to Montreal. So we gotta get rolling here. So to Vince and the Carter family, and to all of our guests, thank you so much for joining us today. What an incredible event. We do ask our guests, there's some refreshments here. And while we gather our young leaders here for some photo ops with Vince, you guys can go enjoy some refreshments. But again, thanks so much, and that's a wrap. Have a great weekend, Vince.